Welcome back. And now we are going to continue our discussion on the impact on teachers' expectation and behavior. So today's episode is about helping your label child succeed in life. And we're going to see how labels change actually teachers' expectation and behavior and what should teachers do about it. All right, let's discuss that in a short while. Now, the first thing that we want to look at is expectation bias. So teachers have different expectation on different children. And these labels reinforce this expectation. Of course, teachers sometimes unconsciously make these labels, right? But then once that label sticks in their head, they alter their behavior and expectation on that student. Now, this, of course, influences students' performance and opportunities because if you thought the student was really smart or you already labeled the student as smart, and then these are the students that you're going to shortlist for competitions, quizzes, extra work for the A star that you band that you need to meet in your KPI, these are the students that are going to be shortlisted. If you don't think the student can do it, and then you're not going to bother trying. So that belief is important. And fortunately or unfortunately, labels reinforce this belief about the student. Right? Okay. So once these labels reinforce your belief system, right? Then what happens is it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. That means just because you thought the student is going to fail, the student ends up failing. Why? Because the student didn't get the extra support that they needed, didn't get the extra practice question that they needed, didn't get the extra hours, the explanation that they needed. So all this was not given to them because you already decided that they are not worth this help. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So this is how dangerous labels are. Now we can turn this on its head. Kita memang boleh tukar benda ni jadi benda yang sangat bagus. Macam mana? Kita dah label kan, okay, biarlah. Kita fikir tak apa, cikgu tu tak erti nak label yang positif, tak tahu nak label yang elok. Dia label benda yang buruk. So for example, dia label student ni slow. Dia kata dia budak ni slow. Dah, lepas tu nak biar je. Customize your solution lah, teachers. You customize the solution. The boy is slower, let's say, or the girl is slower. Then you break it down to a simpler way that they can be helped. Now, I understand, of course, this might be challenging in a big classroom. Like government school teachers, I completely understand. 50 students in a class, impossible task. But for international school teachers, you have 20 students in a class, 15 students in a class. Quite doable. So that's the reason at Pass Excel, we keep the class size not exceeding 10 because we don't want to tax the teachers also. With 10 students in a class, the teacher can truly understand what's happening with every single student, right? In certain classes, it's even lesser than that, right? And of course, we have another thing to help us because we already have the discovery session report. We know how to help these kids. So we customize the solution. So don't let labels be something that will stop you from doing the best for your students. That's all I have to say, right? Now, after that, we need to look at the long-term impact. Now, sometimes this labeling becomes a lifelong label. Now, we know a lot of our friends that we may still call based on the nicknames from school, so that person carries that shame or carries the impact of that label throughout their life. It influences how other people perceive them. It sometimes even influences how they perceive themselves. If they did not have a very strong support at home or a strong network somewhere else, right? So that's a lifelong labeling. Now, how do we change all this? Now we come to the most interesting part of today's episode where we are going to talk about reframing the labels. Now, reframing labels is super duper powerful. Let's look at how we can do it. Now, before we even sebelum kita cuba, what needs to change? Mindset kita perlu tukar. Okay, kita perlu ada mindset yang baru. So what is that mindset that we need to have? The mindset is kita kena terima. Please, teachers who are listening, I know this because for every 500-600 teachers who apply, we may be able to select one. So I know this to be true. Teachers, you are not perfect, right? You are not perfect. You are also human. You are also learning. So when you have that thought, right, that you are not perfect, then the next step can kick in, which is, what can I do better? how can I improve the quality of my teaching? How can I change my methodology so that my student understands? Dia tak lagi, lah benda ni pun tak faham ke? Nak ajar berapa kali? Dah kering air liur pun tak faham-faham lagi. Jenuh lah. That won't kick in lah. Because you don't think you are God's gift to mankind. You won't think you're so perfect. So when you don't have that I am perfect, you are open to learn. You are open to becoming more aware of what the student really needs and wants, because you are open to, kita kata, cermin diri. Boleh cermin diri, tengok kat mana kekurangan tu supaya kita boleh jadi better. Of course, I understand. It's hard. It's hard because it is challenging your ego. It is challenging your belief system. Lagi senang kalau kita kata budak tu bodoh. Budak tu tak boleh belajar. Tu lagi senang lah. Saya faham. But if you want to be in this profession and you want to make an impact, I think this is what is necessary, right? Now, how can you start doing this? First, be super duper observant and curious. Super duper curious. Now, what do I mean by this? Let me tell you a story, right? So we had one student, just for context, before coming here, the mom tried homeschooling via tuition teachers, which means the mom was spending a lot. I remember she said that before she came to Pass Excel, on the biology tuition itself, she spent more than 10,000 ringgit. Because the boy's father is an established surgeon, and they thought he thought also that he would like to be a surgeon, and so he tried studying biology, right? So when he came here also, the same thing, the parents told, then he wants to do biology, right? So, but our discovery session reports shows clearly that he has the entrepreneurial mind, that his character, personality type and all that is like that. But of course the parents said, oh, never mind, it's okay. He can also be a doctor and be entrepreneurial. Maybe he'll open a chain of clinics. So I was like, yeah, it's completely fine. He can do that as well. Let's get him started. So we started the classes. So my classes were economics and business studies. I truly enjoy teaching this boy. Homework's all on time. Everything is perfect, right? Then, of course, here, one of the beauty of the system is the teachers are very integrated. We work in a group. Everybody talks to each other. I make sure that these things are inbuilt into the culture and system. So every day we have meetings. We just talk about what can we do better for the students. Is any student struggling? So this is part of the culture here, right? So the biology teacher then asked me, oh, how is this boy in your class? Huh? So I asked her, why? He's really good. He's really good. He's really good. He really loves learning. He has so much of ideas. He has so much of questions and all that. Then she said, he's not like that in my class. She said, he cannot recall what I studied in the last class. He cannot recall much of what I taught him in the last class. It's very obvious to me that he's not revising. I mean, I can see that he's smart because he can ask interesting questions. But I can see that he's not interested in the subject. This is what the biology teacher told me, right? So in our discussion. And then a few days passed and we noticed that this is true, that he is excelling very well in my class and he's not doing so well in her subject. So then we realized he's not really interested in biology. It's not the teacher. So we even had a talk with him. Oh, do you like the teacher? What's wrong? Do you not like the teacher? Blah, blah, blah. So he's like, oh, I love the teacher. She's really nice. I've never enjoyed my biology classes before this. I really enjoy it. Then we asked him, why are you not doing well? Then he's like, oh, I don't know. It's not really something I'm interested in, blah, 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 blah. Right? Now, if let's say that teacher, that biology teacher at Pass Excel, didn't observe and ask that question, or didn't get curious, is he the same in every class? I feel like he is smart, but he's not putting in effort. If that teacher didn't have that curiosity and instead just chose to label, let's say the teacher just said, oh, budak ni pengak, tak boleh habis kerja aku. What would have happened? Right? Because we had that collaborative nature, of course, but also because the teacher was observant and curious. So we managed to say, you know what, I think you should change streams, you should take these subjects, and I think you'll be great. And after we presented to the parents agreed. The parents said, we've been struggling for a long time, I guess. Ni takdir lah. Memang dia suka benda ni anyway. So we changed, right? Now, the next one that's very important as teachers. Kita kena tahu, next to parents, teachers have the biggest power in this. The power of words. When we want to reframe labels, the power of words is super important. So words that teachers use can really affect the students. How? Let's say lah, you say, you should know this by now. Nah, dah sampai tingkatan 3 dah sampai tingkatan 5 dah sampai year 7 dah sampai year 11 dah, tak tahu benda ni lagi. You should know this by now. Let's say you say something like this. Compared to, you say, oh, that's a really good question. And, you know, I love when people ask questions. Questions is a great way to learn. And I'm also very happy that you're curious about my subject and topics. Okay, let's see, what is it that you don't understand? Can you clarify what you don't understand? Apa beza dia? Macam langit dan bumi lah. Because one tu, the cikgu shock lah. Like you tanya soalan. Then budak tu pun jadi shock lah. Cikgu dia macam, oh, berminat nak tanya soalan I. Compared tu, lagi satu cakap, kenapa tak tahu sampai sekarang? So, those power of words is it's super powerful in how children end up learning how to perceive themselves, right? So, let me give you another example. Ni paling common kita pernah dengar bila it comes to strategy calls, right? It's always like, it seems the teachers like to say this, boleh tak diam? Boleh tak jangan kacau? Or if they're from international schools, the standard statement is, can you stop being so disruptive? Can you wait till I'm done? Can you wait till the end of the class? Can you not ask me this now? Normal lah. Kalau dekat sini, kita cakap macam ni lah. Okay. You know what? That's amazing. I love your energy. You have so many questions. And I would love to find a way to contribute. And I would love for you to be able to contribute to this discussion as well. We're going to have a discussion right at the end. Now, what I want you to do is, this is a piece of paper. Here, take this piece of paper. I want you to write down all the questions that come up. And as I go through this, I will address. Or let's say, I dah memang plan for that day's class to be a bit chill. And then I will entertain the question then and there. But regardless, I will make sure to compliment that student for their curiosity to learn. So teachers, if you're listening, this is tips for you. Parents, if you are listening, this is also something that you can do at home in order to make them feel better. Now, what's the next one? The next one that we can do when we want to reframe labels is that we can turn negatives into positive. Instead of saying, aduh, pelannya, slownya, we can say, oh, bagus ya, awak ni betul-betul check semua. Memang berhati-hati ya. Okay, bagus. Maintain this. Nanti kita belajar how to do it within the time limit untuk peperiksaan, untuk exam nanti. Okay? Beza kan? So that's how you want to turn negatives into bad. That was one example lah. So what's the other example that you can say is, you can say instead of tadi macam cakapkan, oh, you ni memang suka kacau kelas I, you're very disruptive, into saying that you are enthusiastic, I really love your energy. So we want to make sure as parents and as teachers, we use the right labels instead of saying, oh, awak ni kan selalu emotional lah, very emotional. Instead of saying something like that, we want to say, wow, you're super passionate. I can see you're passionate about this subject. I love it, right? So that's what we want, right? Then what we want to do is we want to believe, okay, I cannot emphasize this enough. As teachers and parents, the first thing that we have to do is we have to believe that this child can get better with effort and persistence. Jangan catastrophize, you know. Jangan selalu macam dunia nak kiamat. Jangan selalu macam, lah dia memang tak boleh lah, dia memang slow lah, dia memang macam ni lah. Jangan. Right? You got to believe that the child can get better with effort. Right? So if you think they can get better with effort, that's when you start noticing, oh, dia sebenarnya, oh, this is the weakness. This is the thing I need to fix. Okay, kadang-kadang I be real lah. Sometimes the students will notice 10 benda weakness. Tapi kita kena cari akar tunjang dia lah. We have to find the root cause. Or we have to find the one that can create domino effect. At least the first few dominoes. Kalau tak boleh semua. Then we fix from there. Right? So teachers also must have that mentality lah. Kalau tak ada, tak boleh lah. Tak boleh nak fix the student. Because you yourself don't have that mentality to make them better. Now, I tell you a story. I had a student, which in the discovery session itself, we know he's a genius. Like, he's really good. He's really, really good because his thought process is amazing, right? And his ability to remember was also off the charts. So he's good. First term exam, semua fail. Okay, not surprising. We were not surprised because we told the parents early on. They confirmed this is what's going to happen because he was from the US system. So US system, you know sikit, you waffle banyak. Maksudnya, you goreng lah. Oh, ni macam ni. But in the UK system, in IGCSE, they're very particular. They want the definitions word by word. They want you to think. They want you to demonstrate that you actually learned the syllabus. Besides the analysis, of course, there's a lot of analysis and a lot of thinking, which I really love as well. But they are quite strict about you knowing things as they are as well. So this boy cannot do that. Because dia waffle, kan dia banyak waffle, dia banyak goreng je. So didn't get the grades, failed. Then after on, we noticed the reality of the problem is he has always known that he is smart, right? All the teachers all this while have told that he is smart. Now that he cannot perform, he cannot get the grades that he wanted. It was really crushing for him, So every day we have to remind him that, are you living up to your potential? How much effort are you putting in? Because he got so used to, mesti tuan-puan tahu budak macam ni. He got so used to, dia pergi kelas, dia belajar, whatever he catches in that class is good enough for him to sort of waffle in the exam. So now he's at a higher level where he cannot just waffle. Right? Ni kalau dekat sekolah kerajaan atau government school system is that you manage to waffle through to a certain standard, then when maybe you reach college or maybe when you reach SPM level, you realize, oh, I cannot just repeat what the teacher taught me in class and get full marks. This is what happens to him. Right? So we really had to work with him in building this growth mindset that he is able to get better if he only commits to the hours and does exactly what the teacher wants. Like, he practices these particular questions. He comes for the one-to-one sessions because in Pass Excel, the one-to-one is also included, right? So the teacher will go through and provide all this extra support in order to make him better. And that boy went from failing everything to now he is in New York, right? So let's say we didn't have that belief lah. Or we just believe like, yeah lah, this guy is a burned out star lah, right? Like how some teachers will say, he's a burned out star. Used to be good, now not so good anymore. Approach would have been different, results would have been different, right? So we believe, therefore it happens. Now, the last part, what teachers can do in order to reframe labels is to make your classroom itself super inclusive, right? You make it safe to be me. That's what we emphasize a lot. It doesn't matter whether the student is a genius, average student, not so smart student, doesn't matter. What matters is they all try their very best and they achieve what is their best. So to me lah kan, I rasa okay, I've had one family, 2 boys studying here. Abang dia dyslexic, adik dia sangat pandai, memang gifted lah kita would say, kalau kita nak label macam tu kan, is gifted gitu. So I think I was equally proud and happy when the boy who was dyslexic passed everything and got C's and B's compared to the younger brother who got all A stars, because I know what are the challenges the dyslexic person faces. So as teachers, I think our job is to make sure they achieve their truest potential. And are we doing what is necessary to make them achieve that truest potential? That's all we can do. That's all we aim for by making the classroom inclusive, safe, and so they can do their best, right? Now, that is what teachers can do in terms of reframing labels. After a very short break, we are going to look at what parents can do to support and advocate their kids right after this break.
I'm a happy parent at Pasaksa, right? Because in the international school that I put them in, the teachers like non-existent. It's just email and it takes them a while to come back. And even when I request to go to school and see the teacher to make an appointment, it's not right away. So sometimes I have questions I want to ask, I have to wait and email wait for a response. They all look like they are just there as like teachers, nothing more. So but with the teachers in Pasaksa it's different. I can easily get you guys, and you guys would give me feedback that's beyond, you know, what I know of my kids. So you would tell me more about them. So, oh, okay, I didn't know, I didn't realize. But past excel, they will come out and then they will tell me what happened today. You know, what the teacher said, and they told me stories of their lives and things like that. So interesting, I'm going to share with you, you know, things like that. So I can see there's the major difference, their interest in their daily studies. Wake up, they go to class, and then come out, they're happy. Not like after school, they come back exhausted and nothing to talk about another day, you know. So that's very impactful for me and my husband. We see that, we say, wow.